Experience. Okay, so remember what we talked about. When you come out here, it's not so we get a great workout. When we come out here, it's so the whole time we can program and reprogram your mind to understand that all of this, sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's a great stress relief, but most of the time it's because you're committed to changing your life. You're committed to saying, if there's one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take control of at least one part of my life. And so we start with the health and the fitness and the weight loss. And when you can get control of what your actions are, your emotions will come through. When you can get control of your actions, your feelings will start to pair themselves with your actions. And so when we're out of control, our feelings are also out of control. Does that make sense? So if we're 100% in control of what we're doing, but our feelings are terrible, that's okay because our actions are bringing us forward in life. But if we're not in control of our actions, our emotions are what drives our ups and downs and our ups and downs and our ups and downs. So we want to make sure that we're focused on our actions. So today, we have a lot of hill work. We have a lot of stuff that's not too fun, but the whole time it's just telling yourself, I'm not doing this for any reason except I want control of my life and the things that I do with my life. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So with the one thing we're having control of is our fitness and the way that we eat, the way that we work out, and the rest of life can wait. It can be put on pause for getting control of those things. We're going to get control of this first, and then it'll melt away the other obstacles and the other trials that we have that keep us from living the life we want to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what we're going to do first is we're just going to lunge. And when you say how many, then I'm going to add some. And when you just say, please, can I have some more? Then I'll take some away, okay?
So I'll say,
Could I have some more? Yes, ma'am. Makes sense? So just make sure the focus today isn't the workout. It's just, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, period. Okay. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, period. And until we have that skill set, you're going to do what I say to do, okay? So when we lunge, we're going to lunge down until we decide to stop. We're going to lunge down to the open circle, okay? You know, if we're not in control of exactly what we do, are we really living? Or are we just walking in somebody else's pattern trying to be happy with it? Mm-hmm. We have to find your pattern. And this is how we start, okay? So you just start stepping.
Lunges?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I work out so hard?
We're going to do about a half mile of lunges. So if you had to look at your past week, not this week so far, but your past week, what was your greatest win and what was your greatest struggle?
Greatest win is how much I've been able to get to the gym.
Yeah.
And stay committed. My biggest struggle, which I actually feel like I've kind of overcome a little bit, is
get to stepping.
My eating habits. I've actually taken into consideration what you said about I have to make my actions more important than my emotions. Mm. And so I tell myself, like, okay, even though I want these carbs,
we can just walk now? Even though you want these carbs?
I have to make sure that I keep up with my actions and I eat how I'm supposed to eat.
Well, you know, eating how you're supposed to eat is the most important thing when it comes to losing weight. So that's why we started off by, you remember you calling me or we talked and you're like, I feel like I'm just eating whatever I want and I'm just doing it between these times. Yeah. And if imagine like if you can't get that under control and you can't be in charge of that, how are you going to do some strict form diet? You know, how are you going to follow through with kicking butt in the gym forever? Because right now we're in a season where you are super motivated. Yeah. But what has the greatest value in for what you're doing is saying, this is the minimum I'm committed to. We can always do more. You did an hour and something yesterday. I didn't run an hour worth of workout. I'm glad that you did extra. That's great. Yeah. But we have to be committed to the minimums. And the minimums with our food right now is you eat between certain times and these are the type of foods that you eat, right? Mm-hmm. So did we go outside of those types of foods or those times?
The times, yes.
Go ahead and start lunging. Why is that?
Just because I feel like my schedule is so crazy that sometimes I don't find myself.
So let's talk about that. What do you mean your schedule is so crazy? Is that something that you've gotten used to saying, or is that your truth? Is that true? Is that true, or is that just something that you've gotten used to saying because it justifies it?
I don't eat until after 10 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to. But sometimes by the time I get my son, by the time I get out of the gym, like it's past 7.
Uh-huh.
And so
basically what you're telling me.
It's not like I'm eating at like 11 o'clock at night though.
But you're eating, but you're not doing what you said you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that we're trying to develop here right now is, can you do what you say you're going to do, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you feel good because oh, the weight's popping off. Keep stepping. Sometimes the weight's popping off. Oh, I feel great. I lost this 5 pounds. But sometimes you feel frustrated and you're like, what else can I do? What else can I do? But that feeling is matched with, well, did you do what I asked you to do in the first place? Keep on stepping. Did you do, or because it hurt a little bit, because, oh, well, I was hungry, my stomach was aching, and I just needed food, and you gave in. You got to look at your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, your emotions, your desires. And your soul is always fighting for its wants, its desires. Your soul is always fighting for what you just want in the moment. Because your soul is, come on, keep on stepping, let's go. When your soul is like this fleshly thing that says anything that can make my flesh feel better, I want. You can stop and just walk for a little bit. So if you don't get control of, well, my schedule didn't allow, no, it wasn't your schedule, it's your desires. It's your desires that you're given into. And because if it's really about your schedule, then you just need to reprioritize your time. You know, we're working to a way to where we're not going to eat until 2 o'clock every day, not 10 o'clock. If you want to have success, if you want a major transformation, it's not like, are you crazy? It's like, oh, is that really what it takes? And that's not necessarily what it takes, but if you don't have the ability to do that thing, how are you going to win? How are you going to win for real? We have to take control. So I don't want you to give yourself the excuse, well, my schedule, because that's a lie, and it's a lie to yourself. It's not your schedule. Everybody else in the world has a really tight schedule. Everybody, especially people that struggle with weight loss, they have a really tight schedule. And they have this life that seems overwhelming. And the only thing that they can do to give them moments of pleasure and moments of it's okay, so at least I get to eat my food. At least I get to eat my meal. Yeah. And if our food is the highlight of our day, we're gonna walk with weight loss and weight struggles for the rest of our lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We have to get to a position to where food does not control our emotions. Food does not control our actions. Food is just something that is extremely pleasurable in the ways that it's supposed to be pleasurable. There's so many things in life that give us what we desire, but if you do it the wrong way, it's going to give you a moment of good feelings, but a lifetime of struggle. Mm-hmm. We have to get control to where we're in charge of what we do, we're in charge of what we say, we're in charge of what we think, we're in control of our actions, and eventually our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts, they will give in to those actions. Let's start lunging. So you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself time to think. Is this really about my schedule and how hectic my life is? Or is this really about, I'm working hard enough to where I kind of deserve it? You know, it's not that big of a deal if I go an hour or two late. You know, there's a lesson that we learned that talks about ant holes. And ant holes are this idea. You know, I have this client Matt, and I'm telling him, hey man, what's going on? How are you doing? And he says, well, I'm doing great. You know, I did add a couple things. I'm having like apples with peanut butter, and you know, I'm having some celery with some peanut butter, and I just really like peanut butter, so I've added that to what I want to do. Keep stepping. It's not rest time yet. So I've added that, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good. And really what he's saying is, well, I'm not doing exactly what I said I was going to do. I've let this little bitty ant hole in. But once you let the ant hole in, then guess what comes? The next ant. And then all his friends. And those are all bad habits. That's enough. So we're talking about habits. And an anthole, when it comes to habits, an anthole is letting one thing in. And well, you know, it's not a big deal. You know, I don't eat till 10, but sometimes I eat past my time. That's the ant hole. That's what says, well, I didn't get my workout in, but I went on a walk, and then I didn't get my walk in, but I'm going to tomorrow. I didn't do it yesterday, but next week I'm going to start again. That's the ant hole. It's the process that over and over again, no matter how many things we try, no how much effort we put in, where we go like this and we're doing really good, and then bam, we fall. It's all from that initial ant hole. So that's the number one thing. You want me to give you more stuff? You want a faster process? The first thing we have to do is do exactly what I say. No matter what, we have to do exactly what I say. And if you're miserable at night, then go to sleep. If you're miserable at night, take some kind of holistic sleep medicine that isn't going to destroy you, and go to sleep and wake up the next day and do it again. Because it's not the person who can kick butt for 30 days. It's the person that can just do a little better for the next 2 years, that all of a sudden they're walking in a different life. They're walking with a different set of standards for their life. Make sense? So let's go ahead and start lunging again. So I want you to understand that you're not going to have to do this kind of diet for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But if you can't get this one part down perfectly, how do we move on to step 2? How do we take the second step if we can't complete the first one? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you get to this sign, you can stop lunging. Don't take a break till then, or we'll have to go a little further. Change is very difficult. Change and transformation it not only fights against your everyday life, but it fights against the 30 plus years that your subconscious has been developing. That's enough. That your subconscious has been developing into, this is what I do. This is how I am. This is what my life is. And so you have 30 years of this. How old are you?
30.
You have 30 years of this subconscious renewal of daily habits of, this is what I do. And so we're trying to change that. And because we're trying to change that, everything in the world is going to fight against that. The time that I just need to go out with my friends. I just need to have this food. I just need to do this. Everything in your subconscious will start trying to fight to get you back in some kind of comfort zone that it's adapted to over the last 30 years. The law of adaptation is supposed to be used. We're supposed to make the law of adaptation a slave to us. And what that means is this: human beings are the greatest mammals on the planet that can adapt to literally almost anything. We can adapt to being molested. We can adapt to being tortured. We can adapt to being starved. We can adapt to being mentally broken down. But we can also adapt to always sugarcoating everything, where everything is supposed to feel good. Our adaptation process is crazy. But if you don't have a proactive approach to that adaptation, guess what happens? You adapt to whatever the world gives you. Instead of taking control and adapting to the systematic approach to success, we'll go ahead and start lunging here. We're going to lunge that black mailbox. If you don't take control and start creating a systematic approach to this adaptation process, then you're adapting to just what the world is handing you, rather than adapting to the things that you want. It's like this. Adapting to this meal plan, it's a struggle at first, but you will adapt to it.